Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. We will be getting to our intro like we normally do. We just kind of want to start cold and talk about our thoughts and prayers and everything with everyone down in Vancouver for the Lapu Lapu Festival, the tragedy that happened down there. I personally, I haven't talked about it with you, old man, but I don't want to talk about the name of the killer, the
No.
person who did it. But thoughts and prayers to everyone who went down there and what's being called one of the worst nights in Vancouver history.
Yeah, it kind of affected me. Obviously, I'm from Vancouver originally, and I've been to that I've been to a lot of different ethnic, I'll call it, if that's the politically correct term, I don't know.
That is
festivals, whether it was the Italian festival or I think they just called it the Filipino festival back then. Could have been the Lapu Lapu, and I didn't know. It was just we went down and ate. It was good food. So when I heard about it at first, and then I saw the aftermath, and I was like, oh. Luckily, touch wood, nobody I knew was there, but it's still a horrible tragedy. And you are right, sir, that we should never mention the person that did it. They don't deserve their minutes of fame.
correct.
So our wishes go out to all the families of the affected. I believe there was 11
people killed. The youngest was 5-year-olds. The oldest was 65.
Yeah, I saw the story about the 5-year-old. It broke my heart. So my thoughts, my prayers, if that means anything. We say it too often these days. Let's just be better people.
Yep. And with that, here's the intro. Fans, talking Canucks and BC Lions, Hughes Sports Podcast. We're taking the lead, analyzing the games from the rink to the field. From the ice to the turf, we'll break it down, discussing every win and every loss in town. We'll talk about the Canucks and the Lions. We are your irrational fans. We are your irrational fans. We're live with episode 100. It says 132, but that's not right. I literally just saw that now. It's 123. Episode 123.
Jake just makes
Wait, is that right? I don't even think that's right. How did that number get put in there?
It's like we're WCW and it's like Goldberg. We're gonna make fucking numbers up. It's episode 999.
I think that's like the third week in a row that you've brought out
a Goldberg reference.
Yes, so it is episode 100.
Make these numbers up.
It is episode 113. No, I know exactly what happened. I went to go delete the 112 from last week's episode and deleted the 1 and put a 3, and it happens. You know, bad things happen.
No, it doesn't happen to most people. It just happens to you.
No, hey, you know what? If you think you could do better, be my guest and start running the show.
You won't let me.
But old man, episode 113. How are you doing this week?
I am doing absolutely amazing. It's been I keep telling people life is been amazing to me and I'm loving it.
It's good to hear. We have a lot of big news this
week
with the Vancouver Canucks and BC Lions even. But I think the most pressing news that we should talk about is that, if I can hit the right button, the Canucks and Rick Tocchet have officially parted ways. It was 100% officially announced this morning, around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock this morning Pacific time.
Are we in mourning or are we happy? What's the feeling out there, Mr. Hughes?
For me, it's much disappointment. It's another thing that this ownership group has done that doesn't look good, in my opinion. This was their guy. This was the guy that they wanted, that they had to move Boudreau out in the way they did to bring Tocchet in.
Yep.
And I think Tocchet is one of the best hockey minds, one of the best hockey coaches that this organization has ever had. when you put him up there. I can roll the clip. I can find the clip.
But you said the best. I said one of the best.
No, I said one of the best hockey
Okay.
minds. But not just that. The way he dealt with the media was like no other.
Yes, I like that. That's what I'm going to miss. And you go from being coach of the year to wearing the dunce cap in this organization. It's just absolutely fucked up. And when I knew it was coming, obviously. I mean, it wasn't a secret. Yeah. Everybody knew that he was on his way out.
Well, the thing
is, it was his choice, though.
We kept talking that it was his choice, and no one knew where he was sitting. There was never any confirmation that he's gone or he's staying or anything like that.
Well, you don't negotiate in public, and I respect the management team for not negotiating in public until they had to. Until they had to say something last week or the week before. No, last week.
Last week.
But now I guess it's done. We can hash that over a million ways to Sunday. But what now? Who's available? B, would a top coach want to come into this toxicity?
So, and Jim Rutherford held a press conference later in the day. And we'll get to that a little bit later. But there are a lot of coaches, and he called one out by name, that don't want to leave the East Coast or don't want to leave where they're not in the center of the media spotlight 365. And you know what every other city has, excluding Calgary right now, but Calgary's building one that we don't have.
A new dome, a new arena.
No, not even a new arena. Honestly, Rogers Place, fantastic. The upgrades they're doing is great. Fantastic. You know what 30 of the 32 franchises have? A practice facility. A facility where teams can actually, practice and have things set up and boards set up and things that you don't have to constantly be moving to UBC or back into Rogers Place and then having to move because of concerts and things like that and other teams. It's ridiculous. How are you supposed to bring the top quality people out here when you don't have a top quality franchise?
Wasn't there talk? Why is my brain going somewhere where there was talk about them building something?
Since Rutherford and Alvin have been here, that's all they were working on building one. That's something we want to do. That's something that we need. We need to build a practice facility. There's been zero for a ownership group that's literally built their fortune on owning property.
Yeah.
You think they'd be able to do something. But every time something comes up, you know what they do? They go to the city or they go to the province or they go to the municipalities and say, oh, we should partner on this rather than building it themselves.
Will Calgary have a practice facility?
Part of their new facility, part of the Scotia Arena, is they're going to be getting a practice facility.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So 31 of 32 franchises will have it.
So what's the requirement now? You would think. I'm kind of baffled that we don't have. I mean, where do they practice then?
They go out to UBC. They sometimes practice at Rogers Arena. Rutherford mentioned that since December, they only held 10 practices.
Were you reading between? We'll get to the press conference.
We'll get to the press conference.
My mind's kind of scattered going to different places.
But what that means is you're not going to be able to go to a top-end coach, in my opinion, and say, look at how great Vancouver is. It's like, yeah, cool, great. You've got ABC, but you're missing a practice facility, and that's kind of very important to coaches.
Well, how are you going to get the best of the best if you're not willing to give them what they need?
Well, how are you not going to win a Stanley Cup without having everything possible for your players? this ownership group is hell-bent on winning a cup soon.
Yeah.
But they're not doing anything about it. It's the I can't think of the word. It's a paradox.
Yes.
It's literally a paradox. Oh, we want to win. Okay, well we can't win. Why can't you win? Well, we don't have the top of the line stuff. Well, we need to win.
Well, yeah.
Okay, well, it's frustrating to me, and I don't know. Like, honestly, I think right now one of the front runners should be Manny Malhotra.
Well, it's funny because I was waiting for that to be mentioned, and they even threw him a softball with, is there anybody in the organization? And he didn't bring him up.
He did bring up Manny.
Did he? Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't listen to the whole thing. So
yeah, I listened to the whole thing, and I have some extensive notes on it. But he did mention that.
Did you just say you have some extensive notes?
I literally wrote down every time there was a question that was of interest to anything. I wrote down what was said and summarized it. Yes, I was off today. If I have the time, I'm putting effort into this. We got time. This is an important presser. This is a literal fork in the road for the Vancouver Canucks.
Oh, for fuck's sakes. How many times have we had a fork in the road in this fucking forking?
Yeah, and how many times have we made the short-term goal versus a long-term goal choice?
Every single time. That's precisely why it's like we've had more forks in our road than we do a straight line.
Yeah. So let's just jump into it. Let's talk about the Jim Rutherford press conference. It was not Patrik, Alvin, and Jim Rutherford. No, Alvin was on a flight flying down to watch down to Texas to watch the U18 championships. So that makes sense. So it was just Jim Rutherford. Basically started off right away saying, if I'm looking off to the right, it's because that's where all my notes are here. Talking that Rutherford was quite surprised by this announcement, that all the conversations that they had were for the last little bit has been what they were going to be doing in the future. That Talk was even planning on going out to Sweden to check in with PD in the off season.
Oh, really?
Rick Tocchet felt he needed a change and wanted to move back to the Eastern USA to be closer with his family. That to me stuck out, and and it really felt like that. It was more of a personal. That's how they're spinning it, anyways. It's more of a personal decision rather than a hockey decision. I don't know how much I agree with that, but that's how they're spinning it. That's the story we have to go with.
Do we though?
I want to get to this next line. So okay. for personal reasons, Tocchet would have a hard time doing what he needs to do here in Vancouver.
Well, for personal reasons,
Tocchet would have a hard time doing what he needs to do here in Vancouver.
Well, that leads into, and I'm sure you're going to bring it up, where Tocchet actually mentioned how the coaches treat the players, and that we have top tier players that need to be treated differently than just a regular player.
Yeah, I think that line's going to be taken. I think that's going to be taken out of context a lot.
Well,
because that was not talking about Rick Tocchet. That was talking about finding a new coach. So that question was talking about basically that question that was brought up was along the lines of, you wanted to make a quick turnaround, like you're not getting any younger, basically, Jim Rutherford. Do you still is your goal still to win the Stanley Cup with this organization? You have with your core.
Yeah.
And he said, yes, but we need to make sure that our core players, our superstar players, are on the same page as the head coach, no matter which coach we bring in.
But to me, it was like they weren't before, and they weren't being treated the way they should be treated. That's how I read those comments.
And that's why I say I think there's a few quotes I think that are going to get taken out of context.
I don't know.
There's one thing here that I really want to talk about, but I want to go through things in chronological order.
Keep going. Sorry, I'm all over the place.
No, you're good. So he was basically asked, will this change the design of the team? Like the design of the team had been Rick Tocchet type players. Kiefer Sherwood is clearly one of those examples. Dakota Joshua was that until this year, but of course his journey, understandable. He said we'd have to make changes. Ideally wants to know who the coach is to make moves that align with the coach. Doesn't want to move too quick because he doesn't want to make the wrong decision by acting too fast. But the sooner the better so that they can start making moves in the offseason.
Well, yeah, I mean, they don't have a lot of time.
No. Then the next question. This is the one that I want you to understand here. Someone brought up 4 coaches in 4 years was brought up. This will be the fourth. The newest coach brought in will be the 4th coach in 4 years. How difficult is that for the organization? And he went on to say it's difficult for the guys who've been here, even though there have been some wholesale changes to the players. Understands it's not easy for the fans, media, or players because as for media, they want to know who they're dealing with as it's a much easier process for them.
Yes.
Fans, they seem to love coaches and understand what's going on. And he understood that Tocchet was very well loved by fans. But also mentioned that there hasn't been a lot of coaches sticking around in Vancouver. If you look in other organizations, there are long tenures of coaches. And Vancouver, you have maybe Pat Quinn and Alain Vigneault who have had long reigns as coach. And it's upsetting to see.
But did anybody do a follow-up question? See, that's why I hate the press in Vancouver, because nobody would follow that up.
You're not allowed to, because you'll never be asked.
Why is that?
I wrote down, is that a subtle shot at ownership from the president of hockey operations?
Well, I mean, there's obviously, but we could go past this ownership. We could go back, like, you look how long is this ownership group owned this team now?
It's been a while. Let me find out. I want to say
you forgot about Roger Nielsen for length of coaches as well.
That wasn't me. I was literally quoting from Rutherford. 2006. So they've owned the team for almost 20 years now.
So what about before that? Like, did we have coaches that stuck around? I don't think we have. Coaches seem to hate Vancouver.
I beg to differ. Pat Quinn was part of that. The bulk
Roger
Nielsen. Pat Quinn was around for what, like 10, 15 years?
No. Was he that long?
Because he did 2 stints, did he not?
Could be. Could be.
I mean, I'm pulling it up here.
This is interesting. As you're pulling that up, I'm just you men. We love that you're back and you're participating. But Tocchet doesn't want to coach a rebuild. Who's rebuilding? We're not rebuilding. Come on. Would you say we're rebuilding, Jake?
I have some ideas on that.
I don't think we need a rebuild. Come on, that's just asinine. Quinn didn't coach the whole time. That's true, Quinn.
Yeah, 87 to 91, he was GM.
Yeah.
And then 91 to 97,
he was
coach.
Yeah.
So he's with the organization for 10 years.
Yeah.
But coached for 6 of those years.
Exactly.
I think it's going to be very interesting because Quinn Hughes stated that Tocchet was one of the best coaches and a coach that's the best coach he's ever had. And Jim Rutherford was asked about it. Have you talked to Quinn Hughes? Which actually lines up perfectly nice for this. Have you talked to Quinn Hughes about this? He hadn't had a chance to talk to Quinn yet. He hopes he's playing golf because normally when I call Quinn, he answers or calls me back very quickly, and he hasn't called me back yet. I know that Tocchet and Quinn had a special relationship, and there was a lot of mutual respect and trust in each other, and that he will probably take it hard as he is a sensitive person, and will probably take it to shock, much like Jim Rutherford did. So, reading that statement and that bit, Quinn Hughes only has a year left on, or 2 years left on his contract.
Yep.
If, God forbid, if we have another disastrous season,
Why? Why do you always got to do this to me?
why? Because the Canucks have proven at every level, on every piece of things that could go wrong, they pick the option where things go the worst. It's things are going great, things are bad, and then they come up with a third option that no one knew about. I
got a headache.
If I told you at this time last year, hey, the Canucks are missing the playoffs, Rick Tocchet has gone from the organization, JT Miller's gone from the organization, and Elias Pettersson is barely scoring 50 points. You would have laughed at me because we were getting ready for the second round almost. We're like 2 weeks away from our trip where we went to the first game of the second round of the playoffs. And now we're talking franchise-altering decision on who's the next coach, which could topple into, does the best defenseman, probably one of the best players to ever lace up a pair of skates in the Vancouver Canucks dressing room, will he re-sign as a long-term contract with his organization? And I think it's a legit question.
When do we start that conversation, though?
I'm just looking up when his contract is up.
Well, it's 2 years, so it's 2027.
So we start having that conversation this time next year.
Yeah, because we can't let him walk. Obviously,
July 1st. July 20th, if there's not a contract announced, July 20th, 2026, if there's not a contract announced, I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Because
going into his final year?
He can sign a new contract July 1st, 2026.
No.
Yes.
That's only 1 year left then.
No, he can sign an extension. You can sign an extension with 1 year remaining.
Oh, you mean he could sign a contract with us?
Yes.
Oh, I was like, hold on. No.
Yes.
Okay.
If you get to the trade deadline in 2027 and he hasn't signed a contract,
we're dead.
You're fucked.
Why are we discussing trading Hughes? This wasn't on
our
agenda. You are.
I'm saying
you brought it up.
No, I'm saying it's these small things that we view as small in a lot of cases, with Brock walking for nothing, JT Miller going, Rick Tocchet going, Miller going, I could see, but definitely Brock Besser going and Rick Tocchet going. Depends on who you get to replace those guys, because those are two of Quinn Hughes' biggest people in the locker room right now.
So is Rutherford the issue? Let's call it out.
No, I think it goes beyond Rutherford. Because if you go back to Benning and people were like, "Oh, Benning's a terrible GM." Well, yeah, Benning made a lot of really bad decisions when it comes to scouting. Look at our draft prospects and everything we've got. There's not a lot there, which is fair. But he did manage to pick Quinn. Right? Lots of misses, but he managed to pick Quinn. Got to put that on his hat. If you've ever worked for micromanaging expectations in the short term over long-term bosses, this is the type of shit that happens.
So, I got a headache.
I know you want to talk about putting blame on Rutherford. This is kind of leads into this one, which works well. When asked about his plan and role and the future, basically the question, I can't remember the exact question, but it was along the lines of like, how does this work with your plan in the future and what you want to build with the Vancouver Canucks? He's not thinking about leaving town. He's still here to win a cup and doesn't feel comfortable with the job he's done.
Well, obviously.
On the right track a year ago and went off the track this year. It's 100% on him. He makes the decisions when it comes to hockey operations. You can't blame anyone but him, was his statement. And that they have a lot of work to do this offseason to turn it around. When also talked about Tom Willander, prospect that hasn't signed yet. We have a structure for our draft picks. This isn't just about him. This is about future draft picks as well. We have a structure that we stick to for our draft picks. He's going to have a decision to make. Emily Castonguay is working on the contract, but at some point, Tom and his family are going to have to make a decision.
Tom who?
Tom Willander. Our number one draft pick, our top prospect in the system right now, who's playing in college. Have you not been following Tom Willander? So he was playing at Boston University.
Mm-hmm.
Was expected to sign this year, come in and play the last few games, potentially go down to the AHL and play because they were going to actually make the playoffs. And basically the disconnect is bonuses, amount of money he can make, because when you're in your rookie contract, you have a max amount that you're allowed to sign for, but you can sign all of these bonus clauses that make you so much more.
Right.
The argument right now, from the understanding, is the amount of money he could make based off of these bonuses. And the top end of these bonuses that very few players will actually hit in his lifetime, in the lifetime of a entry-level contract.
So what decision does this kid have to make? Can he go play somewhere else?
He can go back to college and play for Boston University.
For how long, though? He's got
for another year.
Oh, I see.
If he does, then he can re-enter the draft.
Oh, I see.
I believe
so he just doesn't want to come to Vancouver. Again, somebody else who doesn't want to come to Vancouver.
So the way I read that is basically, Tom, you have a decision to make, or we're going to have to make a decision. We're looking to make some big changes up front. We need players who want to be here and
trade his rights.
Trade his rights. Right? Put him.
Can we though? Can we at that level?
100%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can definitely trade his rights. Again, they would only have 1 year, so it would change from a top end addition to a deal to
a rental,
a sweetener. Sweetener, right? You could even go along the line and say, hey, talk to him, see if you can work out a contract before we throw him in. Yeah. Or we can give you a third round pick. Those are kind of Willander's obviously further along developed than a third round pick. But and quite good at hockey from the sounds of it. But a lot of moving pieces here, but a lot of focus from Rutherford on turning things around and upgrading our offense. Our defense and our goalie situation are great. We need to work on the offense.
This is where I get kind of, I call it getting into the weeds in the off season, where you can literally drive yourself absolutely crazy going, well, what if they did this? And then we could do this. And then, I'm the kind of guy who I'm just going to sit back and I'm going to take my hockey jersey off. This will probably be the last time I wear it this year, or this season, hockey season.
Yep. And
I'm going to put my BC Lions jersey on, and I'm going to concentrate on the CFL because, truthfully, it drives me. It's been 50 years plus that I've heard this fucking bullshit. It's a crossroads, and we have to make sure we're making the right decisions, and we have that it's a, what did you call it? It's a organizational breaking decision or something like that.
Could be.
And I'm like, how many times you're young. You haven't heard it near as many times.
Just 32 years of it.
But not 50 plus years. It's like, come on. I'm so over it. It was funny because I had a squirrel moment when I was logging on and got stuck reading yours and Rod's comments about, will the Canucks ever win a cup? And I'm like, no, they won't. So fuck off. Because we're useless. It's a curse. I don't know what it is.
The organization has been cursed since day one.
It's I guess it just gets to the point where you're just done. You're just like, how many times can I say, oh, I'm so excited about next year. Yay, next year's going to be the year we're going to make some
you say that. You say that, and then next year comes along and you get giddy and you get childish.
No, I'm not going to this year.
And I'm portrayed as the grumpy old guy who's like, okay, we'll see what happens.
I'm not going to get giddy and I'm not going to be optimistic. I'm done. I think I'll pick a new team.
Can someone clip that and play it in, 6 months?
I'm going to pick a new team. That's what I'm going to do.
Right.
And I'll show them.
And
they'll miss me before I miss them.
Not true.
Okay.
Because if anyone believes that, I've got a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn.
You're mean.
I'm the one who's
mean.
I'm usually the one who's doom and gloom, and I hate this team, and I'm never cheering for them again. So, no, you don't get to come to that party. This is my party. This is my pity party. You're not invited. There was a bunch more from the Rutherford.
Do we have to go through everything? Because it's a bunch of bullshit.
That's what I was just going to say. Those were the kind of the big points that I wanted to touch on. The big thing to me is that Rutherford, much like Tocchet, is very open and honest in ways that really shouldn't be. Should you have said, oh, I haven't been able to get in contact with Quinn Hughes? Yes. Should you have said, I hope he's golfing because normally he answers my call pretty quickly? Probably not.
Maybe he was hoping Quinn was listening to the podcast, to the press conference, and we'll call him. Hey, Quinn, if you're listening to this podcast, you can call us.
Well, and talking about Quinn, we have some good news from the Vancouver Canucks.
We do.
Because Quinn Hughes is named one of the 3 Norris Trophy finalists again, alongside Cale Makar, as always, and Zach Werenski, also labeled a finalist. So the Norris Trophy will go to one of these 3.
Has anybody ever, who's the last player to win the Norris Trophy back-to-back?
Let's find out.
Because it's almost like they're going to give it to Makar because Quinn won it last year.
Nick Lidstrom in 2008, and not just that, it was 3 peats from Nicholas Lidstrom from 06 to 08. It was then it went Scott Niedermayer in 2004, who's ugly, and 3 years.
Niedermayer's ugly.
And then the 3 years before that was Lidstrom.
Ted, you'll never get me to cheer for the Habs, so stop it. You poo-hand mud up. Yeah, that was a squirrel moment. Carry on.
All right. Yeah, so the last time back-to-back happened was 2007, 2008.
Well, I'm thinking it could be a repeat.
As much as I want to agree, I'm not going to.
Because you're thinking along the same lines I am, where they're just going to give it to Makar. No?
Well, my reasoning is Quinn deserves it, but he only played 68 games. And a lot of people look at that as, is he durable enough to play a physical defensive style? And then those are the people who don't watch Canucks game because Quinn Hughes does not play a physical defensive style in any way, shape, or form. He's one of the best skaters in the world. And in theory, in my personal opinion, should be a Hart Trophy finalist. But that's a conversation that'll never happen because we need to ogle Connor McDavid and Ovi and organizations that know how to put a winning team together. I think Werenski should win it.
Tell us what you really think, Jake.
I think Werenski should win it over Makar, but I think they'll give it to Makar.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything else in regards to the big
Canucks?
I'm done with them. All right, so let's talk about the baby Canucks down in Abbey because they have made the second round Manny Malhotra a potential to move up into the NHL head coaching job. And if I was putting odds on it, that would be my favorite. They'll be taking on the Coachella Valley Firebirds in the second round. What I know about the Coachella Valley Firebirds is they are in California. That's about as far as it goes. Look.
You're killing me, kid. You're killing me.
Love to have some deep insight on Coachella Valley Firebirds.
So that was really serious, folks. This is it. So what I know about this other team is fuck all. That's basically what he just told us.
Hey, I told you where they play.
We were all prepared to get educated, and what did we get?
Absolutely nothing.
California. Well,
Game 1 starts May 1st, so on Thursday this week. They are doing...
And where does it start? In Abbotsford or California?
Starts at the Cruise Arena in California.
Ooh.
So this is a series that is going two games at one arena, 3 games because it's only a 5-game series, then 3 games at the other arena. The Abbotsford Canucks, who finished higher than the Coachella Valley, determined that they want 3 home games. So they're playing 2 away and then 3 at home if needed.
Nice.
I don't love that decision. I don't know I don't. Every time I click in to learn something about the head-to-head matchups between these two, it's just like, get your tickets now. Here's when the days are. I'm like, I want any information about them, and there's not a lot.
Nice. Except they're in California.
I already knew that. I already knew that part.
How did you know that part?
Because Coachella is a festival that happens in Coachella Valley every year, and that is in California. Season series, here we go.
You know what else is in California?
What's in California?
Disneyland.
I wouldn't know. Never been there. So the Firebirds
Squirrel
and the Canucks faced off 4 times. The Firebirds taking that series 3-1. So
go baby Canucks.
Yeah, should be interesting. It's a pain in the butt to watch the AHL games. I think how you watch them is ridiculous, and that
don't you have to
change.
buy a subscription to something? Or?
So you have to buy a subscription to Flow TV or Flow Sports TV, and you can't just buy the AHL playoffs like you used to be able to when it was the AHL TV, and you pay $40 for just the playoffs. You have to buy a full subscription to be able to get it, which is $40 a month, or like $200 something a year. It's like, it's not worth $40 if we're done in 3 games.
Let me buy it per game.
Yeah.
Charge $5 per game. Let me watch it.
Drives me nuts.
I agree. I looked at it because I was going to watch it the other night, and I was like, I'm not signing up to. I don't even know if this is legit. Who the hell is Flo?
It is legit. It's ridiculous, but it is legit.
Ted, who the hell is Flo?
Ted
will know.
All right.
Ted knows shit. Ted knows shit.
I know Ted knows shit. Anything else in the world of hockey?
We're way off the rails tonight.
First, you say tonight like it's not every fucking show that we have where we're off the fucking rails.
We're off the rails.
Anything else in the world of hockey that you want to talk on?
Nope.
I wanted to talk on one thing because the Senators beat the Maple Leafs tonight 4-0.
Yes.
Bringing that to a 3-2 series for Toronto. I'm hoping that the Senators can pull it out and at least force a Game 7.
Game 6 back in Ottawa. It's that whole 20-minute drive. Ooh, they have so much.
I know they tried to make it seem like it was a big thing that Toronto had to travel to Ottawa, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
It's like, come on, man! It's across the bridge.
Like,
stop.
Like the Oilers and the Kings, that makes sense. Like that's like what, a 3-hour flight, 4-hour flights?
Well, yeah, 3 hour anyways. Yeah.
Well, it's a 3-hour flight from here. It's probably a 45-minute flight from here to Edmonton. So I'm assuming,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how flight paths work, but fuck, it drives me nuts. Just that the whole like, oh, they gotta play another game, gotta suit up and go to Ottawa. It's like, cool, they jump on the train and they're there in 30 seconds. Like, what are you talking about?
Well, didn't Rutherford bring up the fact that
yes, that you have
the coaches have to travel and it's really hard on the coaches to travel? I was like,
look, they
drink beer.
Pay me $3 million.
And I'll travel.
I'll travel with the team.
Yes.
You know what? For $3 million a year, I'll even wear a fucking suit behind the bench.
No, you won't.
Yeah? For $3 million a year? Fuck yeah, I would.
It would be a wrinkled suit, though.
It'd be wrinkled, and the tie would be slightly loosened. You'd see a T-shirt underneath, because, comfort, but...
you're killing me. Would you wear a cowboy hat?
I feel like that's a reference to something that is going over my head. The other Canadian series, we have the Jets who are tied against the Blues.
What happened there?
Home field advantage plays a big role in playoffs. And it's something that I think is not talked about enough for the NHL, where it's like, oh, home ice advantage, you get the fans. Not only that, but you get last change. That's huge. That allows you to put out, to play your matchups against players.
Yes. Makes a big difference, more so in hockey than probably any other sport that I watch.
Yeah. Like,
you get the crowd noise, but at this level, I don't think the crowd noise is going to affect your players as much.
The only thing I can think of that's close to is NFL.
Yeah.
And college football, like the big college football stadiums, where it's so hard, you literally have to change how you do your counts for everything. But yeah. And then probably the funnest series, the series that I think is, I want to go to 7 games, even though it's not looking good, is the Capitals and Canadiens. Because that series is just a fight on ice.
I haven't watched any of it except that one little bit on Friday, Friday, where they were fighting in the benches. I thought that was awesome.
Friday.
Yeah.
And then we have the game that's going on right now. The Oilers and the Kings series tied at 2.
Go Kings.
That's been a fun series as well. I've watched more of that series than any other series. Mainly because we're in Alberta. Yeah. And when I'm at work on my overnight shifts, it's very nice to have on in the background. Not that we can have sound or anything, but
I've watched the Winnipeg games.
Fair.
Yeah.
Any predictions for any of the Canadian teams? Anything that's...
Winnipeg comes back and wins.
Okay.
Edmonton, I'm going to say it. Edmonton will win in 7.
Oof.
Toronto loses.
So Ottawa moves on in 7.
And it has to be 7, obviously.
And what about the Canadiens?
Canadiens are out.
I think the Canadiens could be out as early as tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm keeping my eye on this game because Devils and Hurricanes right now are in overtime.
Oh, are they?
If the Canes win, it's over for the Devils. But watching hockey where I don't have a care who wins in all reality, I always pick a team that I'm cheering for, but it doesn't matter. It's just fun hockey. I love playoff hockey. I love just...
I don't... You know me. I'm an... Oh, look at that. We hit 100 viewers. Sorry, squirrel. I can't get excited for a team that I'm not invested in. I just can't.
See, and that's the nice thing is I don't get excited about it. I'm just interested in it. So like...
Yeah, I can't even get interested.
Like today, before the show, we were watching the Toronto-Ottawa game.
Yeah, I was watching that too. And I cheered when Ottawa scored.
But the nice thing is when a penalty happens where fans are like, or something happens and fans are like, why is there no penalty called? I'm like, I know that's me if that's my team, but like, let's be real. That was not even close to a penalty.
Yes.
Yeah. Anything else in the world of the NHL? Okay, let's quickly talk about the CFL because there's not a lot of news around the CFL. Don't look at me like that. There's not a lot of
How
news.
can you say there's not a lot of news? It was CFL draft day.
Woo!
The biggest day on the calendar for the CFL. Oh, no, nobody knew about it.
Hey, to be fair, in all fairness, they actually had like TSN 72 that had...
They had a tracker.
They had a tracker that was broken for like 2 hours.
They had a tracker.
They also did have a CFL show during the draft. So, like, they're building something.
Yeah.
They didn't have any players there or any GMs or anyone there, but they had people announcing when the picks were made.
Well, when Rod Peterson, the good friend of our show, Mr. Rod Peterson, had the commissioner on his show last week, I guess it was, that was one of the questions that was asked of the commissioner. Would he ever go to an NFL style draft where people are there having fun, they're dressed in their team gear and having a blast? And he said, it's not out of the question. So not out of the question is good. I mean, the only place that would work, to be honest, is Winnipeg or Saskatchewan. It's the only two places in the league that live thing would work, in my opinion.
Yeah. Unless you did it out in... If you did it in Toronto and made a big thing of it, like have each, like just like what they do during the Grey Cup, and have each fan base have a area that they can get tickets for, have season ticket holders get first access, things like that, where at the end of the season you're trying to build that into the big, like the kickoff to the CFL season.
Yeah.
Right? Have I'd like to say like an all-star game or something like that there.
Yeah.
Even if it's a flag football game or something, like an event to bring people out and attach a draft to that.
Yep.
Right? Go ahead.
So, I mean, notables. I mean, obviously we're going to focus on the BC Lions. We like to cover the whole CFL with a focus on the BC Lions. We didn't get a pick until pick 11 because we lost our first round pick due to being over the cap, and that was forfeited and given randomly to Calgary. I don't understand, but anyway, the first pick overall went to the Calgary Hopeless Stamps. I mean, the Calgary Stampeders. And they picked Damian Elford out of Utah, wide receiver, 6'6", 211. I could go through this whole list, folks. You wouldn't know a name. The only really notable name came in round 3 by Saskatchewan, who was able to pick up Curtis Rourke. What a waste of a pick, Saskatchewan. He's never coming to the CFL. He's going to play in the NFL, that guy.
We also said when Nathan went that there's no chance he'll ever be back in the CFL.
I never said that. That's a lie.
You did?
A lie. Lies and slander.
Oh!
Lies. Go find a clip.
I'll go find a clip. Early Hughes Sports Podcast days. You said when he gets down to the NFL, we're never seeing him back here again.
I don't think Curtis Rourke will ever come up. Who knows? Maybe he will. I mean, you never know. The problem with the CFL draft, it's not like players are getting excited to be drafted by the CFL as a rule. It's like, okay, fuck, they picked me. Damn, they have negotiating rights to me. That's really what it is. It's a negotiation list. Which, I mean, if you go through it and you look at some of the bigger names from the Canadian universities,
those are guys who usually make it
because like we picked up Connor Klassen. He's on pick 37. He's an offensive lineman, 6'3", 311 pounds. Those are kind of players that will probably play in our league. He's from Regina. But most of the players you see that are from the States, some of them will come up, but the majority, I would say, probably not.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. I almost think in that sense, you have certain spots on your you have imports and you have nationals. Why not have two separate drafts? Because you could then build that into an event where players are there for the national draft. And you have your import draft at a separate time or the day after, just the day after. Yeah. But you have your 3-4 rounds of nationals, and that's the event you have, because then you have your players who are there and excited to be drafted, who are able to continue their career as a football player.
Yeah.
Right? Where, again, BC Lions' second round pick, their first of the draft, is literally in the write-up from 3 Down Nation is there's some risk here for BC as Harris might stick in the NFL long term.
Yeah.
Right? So it's complicated.
And I remember talking to Coach Barker when I was down at the Grey Cup in Vancouver last year. And I don't know how the conversation came up, but we started talking about the draft. And he says it's one of the hardest things the coaching staff has to do, because it's not as simple as I'm going to draft this guy and he's going to come play for me. It's okay, we have an ability to get this guy, but what are the chances he's actually going to play for me?
Yeah. And that could really change where you're drafted because of that, right? Like, if look at Curtis Rourke. If he was for sure coming to the CFL, he's a first overall pick.
Right?
Right? For a team for Calgary who's looking for a young quarterback?
How did they not take Curtis Rourke?
But the risk is he was drafted 7th round in the NFL draft.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee that he's going to be even a backup long-term in the NFL.
Yeah.
But there's also Tom Brady, who was drafted in the 7th round.
Exactly.
So there's
a team like Calgary, they need it now. They don't need it 2 years, a year, even a year from now.
Yeah.
They need to improve now.
Yeah. Well, because they want to have a chance to win the Grey Cup at home.
And they got to build that now.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they're in the bottom of the league. They need to put something together. And I love the CFL, but they are the most frustrating organization to deal with that you've ever. You guys have no idea how frustrating it is to, on a daily basis, send emails. On a daily basis, get no reply. The daily basis, send more emails. And on a daily basis, get no reply. It's like, people, like, we're trying to help promote the league. Yeah. Help us, help you.
It's easy. It's not rocket science.
No.
The one thing I did want to talk about, I totally forgot about, was that the new commissioner, Stuart Johnston, had kind of started his media availability, his press tour.
Yes.
One of the big things that has been talking about is we need to get younger.
Yes.
And he points to digital, get the in-game experience, so in-stand experience, and the Grey Cup itself as gateways to that goal.
And did he not talk about streaming services and etc.?
I've been searching the web for like 2 days looking for that, because he talked about it, and now I can't find anything about it.
If I go to Mark,
because the quote that I keep coming back to is he's not looking to find an expansion. He's not looking for that 10th team. That's not what his goal here is. His goal here as commissioner is to get 9 healthy franchises with sustainable business models, growth in attendance, growth in commercial assets, growth in a great new media deal, and the CFL absolutely locking in its place as an institution in this country and maybe beyond. That maybe beyond sat with me because he said it a few times.
Yeah.
Where it's like we're not looking at expansion, but maybe if we get one team down in the States, see if it works. Even out everything. But
if I go back, Mark Stevens did a great breakdown of I'll have to find it. I can't. He did a great breakdown of what he talked about, and it was talked about that streaming would be a thing he's looking at doing for more games, which makes so much sense.
Again, you moved those games to Thursday night because that's when Americans are used to watching Thursday night football. Where are they watching Thursday night football now? Amazon.
Yes.
You think Amazon would be open to taking on some games? 5, 6, 7 Thursdays in a prelude to NFL Thursday nights? And all they would have to do is literally take the same guys that are already calling the game and put the broadcast on?
Maybe new names? Old new names?
I wouldn't be opposed to also getting the NFL crew to do it. But then they'd have to learn the CFL rules.
That wouldn't work. No, you get you can just have the same feed. You have the TSN feed, and you just give it.
Is it going to be TSN? Does TSN have that working relationship?
Oh, you never know, right?
Rogers has a working relationship with Amazon because they partnered with the Monday Night Hockey.
Exactly.
Right? Like for the CFL, they should be looking at that and saying, well, hey, that works.
Yeah.
As a fan of hockey, like that one Monday night feed, that presentation was better than almost any other presentation you get throughout the regular season.
I like everything except the announcers weren't as good as our announcers.
We're also biased. We're watching because...
Of course we're biased.
Because Shorty and whether it's Ferraro or Tomlinson, they know the team inside and outside. They're calling the team for a regional broadcast.
Yes.
These guys are calling it for an international broadcast.
It's totally different.
And don't get me wrong, I agree. I wish I could click a button and tune into Tomlinson and Shorthouse making the call.
Exactly.
But the presentation, how crisp and clear everything is, watching the game tonight on Sportsnet, literally a playoff game, multiple times in that game, it would go fuzzy. How?
I think that's your TV. Mine didn't go fuzzy. I think that's just you.
No, it's every game.
Doing the drugs.
I wish I was doing drugs. I'd be passed out by now if I was doing drugs. But yeah, so interesting to see where the CFL is going to go with their media rights deal. I'm assuming we'll start to get some rumblings partway through the season this year, as it's up at the end of this year, I believe, or is it the end of next year?
End of next year. This year. I don't know. I want to say this year.
Let's take a look. CFL media rights. Give me 6 years until the 2025.
Okay, so this is the last
end of this year. So partway through this season, we should start hearing rumblings about meetings at least.
Yes. I think what I'll do is I'll reach out to Mr. Farhan, see if we can't get him back on the show to discuss the draft, because he's pays so much more attention to the Calgary or the Canadian university scene.
Yeah.
And he'd be able to really talk in depth about that. So maybe I'll reach out to him.
Yeah, see if we can get him on the show in the next couple of weeks. Yeah. Well, if you have nothing else, old man.
I have nothing.
We've taken up almost...
You did not bring up our mascot once this whole show.
As I was saying, we made it almost an hour through the show. perfectly almost an hour on the dot, and the old man has to bring up the fact that the toucan made an appearance.
The toucan.
The funny thing is,
hurt.
the funny thing is, I saw your expression and I saw you move, and I already moved my mouse over to mute you and hide you.
The toucan has feelings too, you know.
It does not. It is an inanimate object. It is not a real
It's our mascot. The people wanted it. That we have to give it to what the people want.
The people have not told me they want it.
People have told you.
So if you want no.
It was we already did that. There was 3 people who hashtagged the toucan.
No, there was you. There was a free space the can or something. And then there was a hashtag free I want to say it was like Tuckin. The spelling is important, folks.
He's a Rider fan. We can't expect that much out of Trent, okay?
So if you want the toucan to be the mascot and officially be the mascot, drop a comment in the video or tweet at us.
Come on, drop HSP, comments.
At HSP_pod.
We love the toucan.
And just something about the toucan. It doesn't even have to be we love the toucan. Just drop, say, hey, really great show, toucan. Just put toucan in there somewhere so the old man can be like, oh, we got votes, and then we can have a discussion off screen about making the toucan our official mascot before he just decides things. What are you doing?
It said hashtag toucan.
What did?
The people.
The people
Look
are
at
you.
The chat. People are saying...
No, that's the host. That's the host. That's you.
Oh, it shows up that way, does
it?
Oh.
Yep. But everyone, thank you so much for tuning into this shenanigery of a show, because we got all over the place here. We appreciate it. We appreciate you. If you want to help us out grow the most, use at HSP_pod and hashtag toucan. Share us with a friend. Tell a friend to listen. Just listen to it in front of a friend. I do not want the toucan. I want people to tell me if they want the toucan. You can follow the old man at oldmanhsp. You can follow me at JStreams, JEH Streams. You can follow the podcast at HSP_pod everywhere except for Blue Skies, which it's just HS Pod, because it's the Hughes Sports Podcast. I didn't need to put pod on the end of everything else, but I'm not the brightest bulb in the light. You know what? Until next week, have